I think one of the main things we want to talk about with the football team in fall camp, we've been talking about it with a lot of our guests, Muskett or Colandrea. And Dad, I'm going to start with you. What's your first thoughts?
I don't know. I really think I just believe it's going to be Muskett myself to start the year. But I think they're both going to play a ton. I was reading today. Colandrea. One thing that he's definitely, of course, it's easy to say. Colandrea is our Johnny Manziel on the fly, and he off script he makes so many good plays. But he said the importance of just not turning the ball over and taking what's in front of him, which is huge. Because sometimes, he would make that ill-advised pass down the field somewhere, taking a chance when it's okay to take 5 yards. It's okay to throw the ball away. But also that gambling mentality also will it'll excite you and make a play and win a game for you too. So I think, last year, and he's a true freshman last year, but he could win you a game. He could lose you one. I don't think Muskett. I think Muskett's going to be safer, but to get where we want to get, I like Colandrea. And last thing I wanted to mention on it. So Jack and I, we were out to dinner on Monday night with some Hokie fans, and the one Hokie fan said, and I mean but I could definitely understand why he'd say it. Obviously, he doesn't watch our team play. He watched us play one game last year, and that was against the Hokies. And he said, "Well, who's y'all's quarterback?" And he said, "He's horrible." So actually, he's not horrible. He had a horrible game because other than that, he made some mistakes. Of course, he's a true freshman, but I said that's the future right there. So,
yes,
it's a lot to be excited about. But what do you think?
I think Coach Elliott has. I think he's played it pretty well. Because you want both guys to believe they're the guy, and I like you said there, Jeff. I think both are going to play a lot of snaps. So it's not going to be as important as who starts the first game as who finishes the last one. And it may not be the same person because I'm kind of with you. It does seem like Muskett. To me, you take a guy to ACC Media Day and then you don't start him. That doesn't even make sense. And I know he said, that wasn't anything important, but I don't see that happening. There's a ton of guys you could have taken. You could have taken Malachi Fields. He's going to play a big role, or Chris Tyree or somebody like that. But instead, you took the quarterback, and so he'll probably start. Colandrea is exciting, though. I mean, the good thing that I hear from both guys is that they're each other's biggest fans. And when you're in a competition, it's easy to sit there on the sideline and be like, okay, he just threw an interception. All right. Maybe he throws another one. Maybe they call. And there's none of that going on from everybody who's spoken.
From what we've heard from, yes.
Yeah, and that's directly from them, and you got to take them at their word. I mean, they're saying all the right things. Of course they want to play. I mean, we've played enough sports, not at that level. We've played enough sports to know you want to be on the field and not on the bench. Otherwise, you wouldn't be playing. So I think Colandrea knows if his time isn't this year, it will come. Muskett's out of eligibility after this year. So I think Colandrea is going to see the field, and he'll be just fine. And I'm excited to see August 31st who runs out there first. All off season have said Colandrea because I just assumed that Coach Elliott was just kind of blowing smoke. But I think he's actually telling the truth when he said a quarterback competition. So I really think it's going to be whoever looks the best in fall practice, and I don't think it's been determined yet.
Yeah, and we didn't even know Muskett was returning until late in the transfer portal, if I remember correctly. And remember, Colandrea was bringing in all these receivers. He seemed to be playing a part in bringing in, Chris Tyree, Terrell Harris, a lot of these guys. And it's like they transferred here because they wanted to play with Colandrea, but we don't know that. And I think a lot of people really do forget the few games that Muskett did play in last year were huge. That North Carolina game, he balled out. And I think, like y'all said, I mean, he's more mature. He makes more mature decisions. He's not going to take the risk like Colandrea might take by during on the run off his back foot 30 yards downfield. But he'll make the plays. He'll get you the first downs. And, I mean, if you beat a team like a top 10 North Carolina, I think that is a huge feat. He's a mature quarterback, and I don't think I wouldn't be upset with him being under center. Now, do you want to see Colandrea, though? I do kind of want to see Colandrea. The ideal situation, I feel like, is if you could play Muskett and redshirt Colandrea, I think that'd be great. The problem is that transfer portal, it's very scary. And it does sound like Colandrea wants to stay regardless, but you don't want to risk that. I don't think you redshirt Colandrea because that's a scary situation.
Well, I don't think that's even going to come into play.
No.
Yeah, and also at media day, Jay had a question for Coach Elliott that got posed about could both quarterbacks potentially play at the same time. And I mean, that's never really been a big recipe for success in the history of football that I've watched.
Unless you're Virginia Tech against us in 2021.
Well,
they say if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. So
correct.
Yeah.
If you recall, Jay, and I don't remember if it was the Broncos. I don't remember if it was Sean Moore. Remember when they made it? They did an alternating of quarterbacks, and Sean, was he drafted by the Broncos? I believe. And I think Elway was hurt or something, and they were going. And I'm talking about every other drive. It was a Virginia quarterback. Every other drive, they were rotating. The Virginia quarterback came in and played, and then whoever the other quarterback was. I mean, that's a crazy. You're talking about no rhythm,
right? That you can't win like that.
Oh,
once he makes the decision, I mean, I think you could see packages of this is a Colandrea package. We're going to go, because if you think about some of the best drives that you have are your scripted plays. As Washington fans, when Norv Turner was the coach, he was excellent at the first drive of the game, going down the field and getting points. And if you can do that for two quarterbacks, script to their strengths, you may buy yourself an extra possession of points.
And one last thing on this, the weapons, the offensive weapons those guys have. Oh, yeah. I mean, just get the ball in Tyree's hands and let him go to work.
Yep.
Like the Malachi Fields, he'll go get the ball. Like there's so many weapons out there. Just don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Just get the ball in their hands and they'll go do the job for us.
Yep. And as long as the O-line can
I was going to say,
keep him upright, whoever it is.